All right, we are here. Welcome all. Glad you could make it today, and we are doing another monthly live stream. My name is Doug Diamond, and I'm a music supervisor and also a mixing engineer, mastering engineer, and have done a number of different jobs in music, primarily all of them technical. I got into first just wanting to learn studio work after my time at the Grove School of Music back in 1990, which seems like ages ago now. I lived in Los Angeles for about 4 years, and after that year of school there in at Grove School of Music, it was the recording engineering program. I went from there straight to work for Ocean Way Recording. And Ocean Way Recording, if you guys don't know, is one of the world's premier recording studios. At the time it was, and it still is today, because it's a great facility, and just about anybody you have ever listened to probably in your life, as far as major label stuff, most of them, seems like they've been in and out of there at some point, especially the artists that have been around a while. So I was there from about 1991 is when I started working there until 1993, about the middle of the year that year, and then I moved to Nashville. And I moved to Nashville and started a mastering business a couple years later, but the only job I could find when I moved to Nashville was in mastering. So I went from working in a major recording studio in Los Angeles to trying my luck, as it were, in Nashville. And I love Nashville. I still live here, and I found it was a good place to be and to raise a family and so forth, so I ended up staying. But it's a really good place for production work and mixing, and it's really great for songwriters. If you're a songwriter, which is, I do that as well. So that was one of the initial ideas that I had upon moving to Nashville, was to come to be a songwriter and get into production and things like that. So I'm still doing a little bit of composing, but not really songwriting per se, because I'm so busy doing other things that are more technical oriented, and now music supervision since about 2012. So I've been a music supervisor since then, so for quite a while now, about 8 years or so. And I really enjoy it. I like the technical side. I like the music buying side more than I do the music selling side, which is what you all are on, most likely, if you're here today. In other words, you are songwriters and artists and composers and so forth. And that's probably why you're here today, is to learn a little bit more about what you might be able to do to ratchet up your game just a little bit more in order to get your first, perhaps, or ongoing music licensing and sync placements. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is music licensing and sync. Just so you guys know, what I call music licensing and sync, when I'm talking about that, sync in particular has to do with video. So if I'm talking about sync, I'm talking about matching music to picture. And picture could be an independent film. I don't work on major films, so it's independent films. I've done a number of those as music supervisor. And also, you know, with sync, it could be television, it could be even video games, that type of thing. Even libraries. Libraries I would consider sync, because most libraries are also doing the same thing. They're trying to place music into picture. So films and TV and commercials and so forth. And I've worked on a number of different commercials as well. So when I'm talking sync, it's generally music to picture. Licensing is also that, but it can also be a little bit broader term. You could talk about music placement and licensing. That could be radio, getting your songs onto retail radio, or even like something like a satellite radio, like a Sirius XM or that type of thing. So radio is not really sync, because sync has to do with picture. So that's more like a placement. So if you all are familiar with music ops, I had head up the day-to-day with music ops, and we pitch and place music in different scenarios. Some of those are for picture, which would be sync, and some of those are for radio and retail and that type of thing, which would be more promotional, really, for you as an artist or band. And we have a number of bands that come to us, and artists who they just want to, promote their newest album. Well, we're not really a promoter, but we can possibly help you get your songs onto a really well-known Spotify playlist or an Apple Music playlist, or get your music video in rotation at, say, Costco or a Walmart or a Target or something like that. And the way that generally works is those companies they have electronics departments, and they're trying to sell televisions, generally 4K TVs and up. So if you guys have really quality, really well done, high quality music videos with great songs with lots of color, sometimes we can place your music videos for you as well. And that's not really sync. Again, that's more like placement. So the idea is to help promote and whatever it is you're doing as an artist or band. So if you're in that group of people, we can probably help depending on the quality of your music and what you're interested in doing. Sync placements are a little bit harder to come by because it's a specific place, a certain spot in a film or a commercial or a video game, that type of thing. So anyway, that's why we're here today. That's what we're going to talk about. And I had a friend of mine who suggested that we drill down and do a specific music placement opportunity, sync opportunity, and focus on that. So I was taking that person's idea and kind of running with it this month, and we're going to try it and see how it works. And that was for TV sports licensing. I do a lot of pitching for TV sports and pitch and place songs in all kinds of things. Could be the NBA, could be NFL, could be Major League Baseball, any of the major sports, which of course that's kind of all scaled back right now because of COVID and so forth. But hopefully it will come back, and whatever the case is, whether there's people in the crowds or not, which there are limited crowds right now, the point is it's really doing well on television still. And so there's still places to put your music. So we're still pitching for film and for TV as far as sports TV licensing. So we're going to touch on that today. And it turns out most of the submissions that have come in today for this month of February, most of them aren't really what I would consider sports licensing type of songs. So what we'll do is we'll probably go through them all and kind of talk about what we normally do, which is just go through and say, okay, well, your song might work in this certain type of licensing or sync situation, and we'll do that. And then we'll also touch on maybe some ideas as far as sports TV goes, if you are interested in getting your music into sports television. So we'll kind of we'll try and do both. And then next month, for the month of March, we will attempt to probably also focus on some other, similar type of placement or sync scenario. We'll probably focus on, say, retail placement, or maybe radio, if you're interested in getting on radio, which is a little bit broader, easier sort of as far as the accepting of the material that comes in, a little bit broader range that is accepted and brought into the fold, as it were, versus sync, which is oftentimes very, very specific because they're looking for a piece of music that fits a certain scene in a film or a certain feel for the brand of a commercial, that type of thing. So it's a lot more specific, whereas radio is a little bit more general. Anyway, so we'll touch on all that today and talk about that, and we'll get into some of that as well next month. And if you haven't been here before, welcome. We do these broadcasts on the last Sunday of the month, and the next one, after today, the next one will be on the 28th of March. So that's the next one, so circle your calendars. We'll be doing the same thing then, and if you guys don't know, this is a brand new YouTube channel. I set up this music licensing tips channel just a few days ago. Thought I would test it out this month and make sure it all worked okay. It seems like it's fine. That's all that's going to be on this channel is probably the archive recordings from these last Sunday of the month webinars that we do. I'm not going to upload anything or do any of that stuff. And actually, my main home online as far as the video archives is not even on YouTube. It's on Vimeo. So if you guys want to write down vimeo.com/diamondisc, DIAMONDISC, that's where you can find the archive recordings going back to the beginning when we started doing these last Sunday of the month live streams. So they're all on there, which is basically all of last year. So you could pull that up and hopefully get some good information and some tips for free. And you can just go on there and watch any of those videos. And also, we've got the monthly Q&A meetings are on there too. We started doing those probably, I don't know, April or so last year. And we've done one pretty much every month since that time. And the idea is that the folks who pay to submit, like on these, like what we're going to review today, the people that pay to submit, an extra bonus that you get for doing that is that you're invited to take part in the monthly Q&A that we do, which is usually the last Thursday of the month. And what we do is we go through and people can ask me questions, or we can just talk in general, and we can talk about your career specifically, what it is you're trying to do, and possibly be able to help. That's the whole goal. We put our heads together and we come up with some different ideas and things that you could do for your career. And then we also cover things like we talk about, just this last Thursday, we talked about copyright. We talked about getting your music into MTV type of shows and productions and things like that. And those archived recordings are also on my Vimeo channel, which is vimeo.com/diamondisc. And that's all free. So feel free to pull that up and look at it. Hopefully you can get some good and useful information there as well. And then we also have a music licensing tips Facebook group that my good friend Mark set up. And feel free to, and if you're here today, you're probably on the newsletter, and the link for that group, it's a little hard to find if you don't have the link for it. You can search for music licensing tips, and I think it'll come up. But if not, the link for it is in the newsletter, the emails that I send out each time before these live streams. So let's see who's in chat here today. Dougie's here. Hey, Dougie. Great. And Frank is here, and Carolyn. I said hi to her. Who else is here? Ivania, welcome. Fate, hello. And I guess that's all that's here so far. If you're going to have your song reviewed today, if you don't mind, shoot me a hello in chat. That way I know you're here, and we can talk about your situation a little bit. If you have any questions when we review your song, you'll be able to do that in chat. So that's the idea. Anyway, I usually start with Dougie. Dougie he always has these great songs that he sends, and he's several hours ahead in Scotland. So I'm glad you made it, Dougie. We're going to start with West of Here today. And what I'm going to do is, and I know this band's really good because he sent a couple of their other tracks. What we're going to do is we're going to listen to the full song, and then I'm going to do some commentary after that. And we'll kind of pick it apart a little bit and figure out where we may be able to pitch this and what it might be useful for, some different ideas on that. So that's what we'll do. So let's start with this track, and we've got probably, I don't know, maybe 7 or so songs today, maybe a few less than normal. I started to say earlier, I think having the focus on sports TV this month, which I personally love because I like that style of music, I think it might have thrown people off, like figuring that, oh, well, I'm not really interested in my music being in sports TV, so I'm not going to even bother submitting, or I'm not going to bother listening. And that's unfortunate because you want to focus on whatever your music style, whether you actually even know it or not, but you want to focus on the things that could potentially bring you income. So even if you don't watch football or you don't care about basketball or whatever, the point is if you write the style of music and produce the style of music that is useful there, why not at least consider it? So I'm wondering if this month, if focusing on sports TV placements may have thrown some people off. Maybe they thought that's all we were going to talk about. Well, hopefully they'll go back and watch the archive, because that is not all we're going to talk about today. We're going to have a normal session. We're just going to touch on the sports TV licensing stuff as well. So let's get into this first song. West of Here, Right Here With Me. So let me refresh the page, so hopefully we don't get a commercial. And let's listen to Right Here With Me. Here we go.
What you doing?
Oh, we still got the commercial. Try it one more time. Good old SoundCloud.
I'm just a man and nothing more than broken bones, an empty core inside my soul, with no hope and all alone. But I keep trying too hard, and I keep falling apart. But I know I'm not strong enough now to walk this road that I'm going down. So here I am, praying for you to be right next to me. I know I'm not strong enough here to go alone without you near. So here I am, waiting for you to be right here with me. I'm just a boy with a broken heart. The decades pass, but still I'm far from ever being good enough. And I keep trying too hard. But I know I'm not strong enough now to walk this road that I'm going down. So here I am, praying for you to be right next to me. I know I'm not strong enough here to go alone without you near. So here I am, waiting for you to be right here with me. You'll be right here with me. The road is long, the water's deep, so here I am falling on my knees. You'll be right here with me. Here I am, I give everything. But I know I'm not strong enough now to walk this road that I'm going down. So here I am, praying for you to be right next to me. But I know I'm not strong enough now to walk this road that I'm going down. So here I am, praying for you to be right next to me. And I know I'm not strong enough here to go along without you near. So here I am, waiting for you to be right here with me. I'm going down, so here I am, praying for you to be right next to me. I know I'm not strong enough here to go without you near. So here I am, waiting for you to be right here with me.
Yeah, wow. What a cool song. West of Here. And, we've listened to some of their other stuff before. And I know it says on SoundCloud here, it says 4 years ago, but I would say who cares? Because, it's so good. It still sounds very, 4 years isn't that long ago, but in the music business, it can be a lifetime. But West of Here still sounds very relevant, very good, very modern to me. And I could see where, any of their stuff really that I've heard could be and should be placed. This song is definitely right there with the rest of them. He put the lyrics on here for me, so that's very nice. They've probably been on there a while. But that's very handy having that, and I mentioned that before. As a music business professional, when I go to your SoundCloud page and you kind of have it tricked out a little bit, as I call it, you have the lyrics to your song on there. Very handy very handy for me. So if you didn't know that, definitely put that one in your back pocket, because it's good to have, instead of just a blank profile. I mean, I don't really care, honestly, the number of plays you have. That doesn't really, I don't care if it's one play and it's totally new song that nobody's ever really heard before, or it's been on there for 10 years and it's only got one play. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm listening for the quality of the song and the production. I've mentioned before that that's coming from a technical and production background. That's always what I notice first, is the production value, the quality of the mix, the mastering, the recording in general. That's kind of where I'm coming from as far as just inbred in me. I mean, it's just part of me. And so I hear that first and foremost, but I'm also listening for things like the quality of the singer, the vocalist, the performances in general of all the different instrumentation. I'm also listening for the hook, the main melody, and that to me is the most important thing. And I mentioned Nashville before. It's still, melody and hook is still really, really important in this town, and I know it is in LA and in New York too, but it really is here. And people ask me, well, how do you get ahead in the music business? Like, how do you succeed? And I just actually covered this with a friend of mine, a guy that used to be in my band in high school, and he asked me a question, how I produce these songs and I kind of do everything myself, and how can I make it better? It doesn't sound as good as the stuff does, that's the quality stuff, at least out on the radio and so forth. How can I make it better? And my answer to that was that if you look at the Billboard charts, and I know, you can love or hate the Billboard charts, but the fact of the matter is that's where the popular music is charted as far as what's selling, what's being streamed, and so forth. So you can at least get, if nothing else, you can get the fact that the music on there, good or bad, at least is successful. And if you look at any Billboard chart, you won't see a song on there, whether it's number 40 or number 1, you won't see a song that's written and produced and done completely from beginning to end by one person. Or at least if you do, it'd be very, very rare. Now, back in the 80s you would, like a Prince or somebody like that. But most of us are not at his level. So what you'll see, though, is a whole conglomeration of people who made the song what it is. So you'll see a grouping of songwriters, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 10 in the case of certain hip-hop songs or rap songs or whatever. They split their songwriting maybe 10 different ways or 5 different ways or whatever. And a lot of times you won't see necessarily one producer even now. You'll see multiple different producers, or it could be one producer and the multiple songwriters. It just depends on the style of music. Going back to hip-hop, usually there's multiple writers, multiple producers too. So that said, you cannot really create music and be successful doing that in a vacuum. You can't do it all yourself. And if you try to do it all yourself because you're a master of everything, you think, usually that's not the case. Now, you may be really, really great at 2 or 3 things, whereas the other things you're sort of having to make up as you go and figure out, okay, well, how can I make this work? And you just sort of use a Band-Aid and get through it. Like, for instance, I ran into people who are really good at creating the recording and even production, but they're not really mastering engineers. So they hand it off to me. So then they're bringing someone else onto their team who doesn't really have any skin in the game, as it were, as far as the songwriting. We're not really that close to it because I wasn't there at the beginning. I'm there just as the hired gun, so to speak, as the mix engineer or the mastering engineer, or both. So I would just say for those folks out there who, and there's a lot of us who tend to do everything ourselves, just be careful, because most of the songs that are really successful, it's a team of people that do it. And that brings me back to Nashville. That is one of the things that has made Nashville successful as far as country music goes, at least. You have co-writers, and co-writing really is the secret to success, I think. And I think that could work across the board with all different styles, even getting into when we talk about film composing and stuff like that. A lot of times you'll have a composer that is just, he does everything himself, and he's hired to do that, and they're successful, and that's certainly possible and plausible to do. But maybe it's better to think about it as a team. If you're trying to get film score type work and you don't have 100% strengths in every facet of film composing, maybe you need to bring someone else onto your team that will help be able to kind of counterbalance and fill in the gaps where you don't really have that information, that knowledge, and vice versa for that other person. Maybe you're better at string arranging than the other person is, and they're really adept at coming up with drum grooves or something like that. So the point is to think about the fact that it really does take a whole team a lot of times, and the successful songs are really big ones do tend to be a successful team of people that are getting the song to where it is. And also keep in mind too that if you have more than one person that you're working with, you also have, if you bring other co-writers in or whatever, you also have all of that person's world of contacts to help promote and push the song. So instead of trying to do it all yourself, even when it comes to marketing, when it comes to getting the song out there once it's done in air quotes, because as a songwriter, a lot of times you still want to change stuff. You just have to kind of put a time limit on it sometimes and stop. But once your song is kind of done and ready to go and you want to help get it out there, if you have a team of people, then you can rely on some of those other people to also help kind of cross-promote what you're doing. So it doesn't all fall back on you. So there's a lot of advantages to having a team. And I say that because, west of here, obviously that's a band, and Dougie is helping them and doing what he can for them. And so it's a team. It's not just the band trying to do everything themselves. I don't really know their history, but I can tell you that their songs are really, really good, and it probably took all three of these guys. I don't know if there's more people in the band or not, but it probably took them all, well, their main profile here is three guys, to come up with this really cool song. So they probably are sharing the songwriting credits, I'm just guessing, versus having one guy that did it all. So anyways, again, very good song. We're going to jump around and listen to some different parts of this song, but you guys heard how good the vocalist was, and I saw Carolyn mentioned here, I like the emotion of this song, great vocalist. Yep, totally. And then Tony says, very commercial and well produced. Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed too. And so it's a high quality recording. It's a really good song. It's and they even have it tagged here, and some of the tags they've used I think are really helpful. Original, Christian rock, unsigned, indie, Christian rock, rock pop, alternative rock. So that's something to keep in mind when you are putting your song up. Definitely try and think of some useful, helpful tags as far as different genres or keywords that you could put in there that could hopefully help people find your song when it's on a SoundCloud or something like that, where it's publicly searchable. And they did a good job of filling in the blanks there of the different possibilities, the different genres and so forth, which is really good. Like, I wouldn't necessarily have thought of this as a Christian rock song until you get into the lyrics. When you start looking at the lyrics, so here I am praying for you to be right next to me. I mean, it certainly could be. So it could be interpreted different ways, and I think it's really helpful as a music supervisor to see that information on the page, because I may not have thought of that, or it may not have occurred to me that, hey, wait a minute, I could probably pitch this song to Christian radio, like on a Sirius XM or something. So it's very helpful to fill in those blanks a little bit. And we talked in the last Q&A on Thursday about how do you categorize, like how do you figure out what style of music you even do? Because a lot of times as a songwriter, musician, you're too close to it. Like, you don't really know. You know who your influences were, but you don't necessarily know what style to call your music. And is it just rock? Is it rock pop? Is it some sort of like contemporary pop? There's all these different things that it could be. So I think it's helpful in what I mentioned, and we'll talk about it when we talk about Ed's song here in a minute, but what I mentioned was, if you don't really know what style of music that you do, I would say bring in some friends, people you trust, who don't really have any connection to your music at all, or know anything about music, would be even better. Get their ideas. What do they think your style of music is? And just kind of bounce some things around off of your friends, people you trust. Not necessarily total strangers, although that might be helpful too. But I think it would be good to just quiz your friends. I wouldn't say necessarily family unless they're completely disconnected from the music part of your life. That might be okay, but you don't want any influence. You want people to give you their straight opinion on, okay, I think your music is a lot like so-and-so, and that falls into this genre or that genre. As a music supervisor, the genre thing is important, but it's not the be-all, end-all, because I know that people are trying to come up with this information themselves. And, you know, for me, it's fairly obvious when I hear the song kick in that it's going to be a certain style. So the point is, does it fit within a certain scene in a film or a commercial or whatever like that? So that's the kind of thing I'm looking at. Even though you might call yourself rock, maybe it's not really. Maybe it's more like folk, or maybe it's more like a little more country. So maybe that thing will work better in a situation that I'm trying to fill, a space that I'm trying to fill, versus what you think it is. The main thing is it comes back down to picture in the case of sync. So Right Here With Me is a very high-quality song, great recording. I think that it could definitely go to radio, probably first and foremost. That's where it should be. Christian rock, for sure. I think it could play. It's general enough. It could play on any sort of alternative rock situation, like alternative rock channel. So I would say for sure pitch this for like a Sirius XM, or it has enough energy where I feel like it could work for retail as well. Let's jump around and listen to some more of it here. This is a good tune.
But I know I'm not strong enough now to walk this road that I'm going down. So here I am, praying for you to be right next to me. I know I'm not strong enough here to go alone without you near. So here I am, waiting for you to be right here with me.
Yeah, so Ed saying in chat here, it sounded country to me. I had heard them before. I'd heard them on before, and they sounded more Irish, like U2. Yeah, I mean, it definitely has a little bit of that flavor, although I don't know if they're non-U.S. They could be. I don't know. They could be European. I don't really know, and I think it's fine. It doesn't really matter to me, at least as far as that goes. But I think the qualities there could definitely pass as something more rock. It could pass as Christian rock too. So pretty cool.
I'm not strong enough now to walk this road that I'll be right here with me. The road is long, the water's deep, so here I am falling on my knees. You'll be right here.
I definitely think it has enough energy too to work in a retail situation. So Dougie, I would say let's try and pitch this for retail. I think the lyric is general enough it could work for that, and it has enough energy. My retail rotation client likes energy. They like high energy in the songs. Like, I don't really ever pitch slow songs to them. Unless we're in the Christmas season, they might be more open to it, perhaps, especially if it's a Christmas cover type of song. But the rest of the year, I don't really send them slow stuff. I send them stuff more like this that's could be classified as mid-tempo but upper mid-tempo, and then faster stuff, because they are playing their songs in shopping malls and some restaurants and things like that, even like a 24-hour fitness or something like that, where it has enough energy where people are working out to it or whatever. It could work in that type of thing too. So I like this song. I feel like it has good energy. It could certainly work in radio and retail. I think it could, and would not hesitate to pitch it because the quality is so good. And looking at the lyric, I don't know. We could touch on that. I think it could work for sure in a lot of different sync scenarios. It's just a question of, would it fit in the director's view of whatever the scene is? Would it work in that? And I think it certainly could. The quality's there again.
Right here with me. Here I am, I give everything. But I know I'm not strong enough now to walk this road that I'm going down. So here I am, praying for you to be right next to me.
little drop and turn around there into the main chorus. I like that. And that bridge is really neat. There's some neat stuff going on there with the background vocals and guitars and stuff like that. So very well done. I think this is certainly to me sounds like it could be a hit. I think it could work in a variety of different sync situations, and certainly in placement situations like a radio or a retail. I always tell Dougie I feel like his stuff should be in a library, and we could certainly, pitch it to a global music production catalog type of thing. We've got another one called LA Production Library. That's a good one too. So we could pitch it for those types of things, and I feel like that's probably where it would go in the most obvious places. And then once it's in a certain catalog, then maybe depending on what projects they're working on, they could use it in something. I could hear where this song could work in an actual, just in a commercial. You could hear the quality's there. It's just a matter of, does it fit lyrically? Does it fit energetically? So that's kind of where I'm at with this song. I think it's a really good one. A really good one to start the day on today. I've done a lot of talking. It's already 1:45 my time. Wow. Anyways, let me know, Dougie, do you have any questions specifically on this? I think it's another really high-quality tune. I'm with you on that. I really feel like West of Here is a really great band. I know he said before that it's one of his favorite groups, and I can see why. They're really, really good. So kudos to them, and to you, Dougie. I think keep up the good work, and I don't really have anything else to add. I feel like the song needs to get out there more, and if it's been on SoundCloud for 4 years, it's really time to start promoting it, and I'll do what I can. And I mentioned we traded emails a couple weeks ago, and I said, well, I'm going to pitch your stuff and see where we can get going on that. And I got sidetracked with a lot of other things going on in the last week or two, but I'm still going to do that for you, and I'm going to try and get some things going for West of Here, because I really feel like that band needs some more exposure, and I know you have access to them as far as the licensability aspect of it, which is the main thing that me as a supervisor that we would be interested in, as far as being able to clear the composing part, the publishing, which is the song itself, as well as the recording. So hopefully either Dougie owns the recording and or maybe the band does, I don't know. And or the publishing. So as long as that's the case, then I think it would be a pretty easy match to be able to get that song going, at least in some different libraries, and pitch it to retail and see what happens. So that's what I would say on that one. Let's see if we have anything else in the chat. Nope, not really. Okay, well, let's move on. But Dougie, good job. Hopefully that gave you some information on what I feel like it would be good for. And again, an excellent submission. Very well done, and another really great song by West of Here. And so keep up the good work for sure. So let's see. Let's move on. We've got Frank's song, I know. And I think Frank's here still. So let's jump on to this next one, Fix It Up, featuring Pesky. So I think Frank said this was a new tune, female version, Fix It Up. So let's listen to this.
I can take what's coming, even under assumption. All the pressure's under control. All the facts were given, even barriers were lifted. Now the truth can't shine on its own. Working it out was never gonna be an easy task. Trying to grasp important things we need to ask. But we're gonna fix it right away. Gonna take the time to mix it up, fix it up. Gonna pay the price right today. Gonna take the time to mix it up, fix it up.
I like that one. Very cool. Good job, Frank. Let's see here. Let's go back here. Okay. So Pesky. Pesky is the singer, it looks like. Pesky vocalist. Okay. So that's an interesting name. I think her vocals are really good. I like them. I think it's a good song overall, Frank. Pretty cool. Carolyn says, great guitar accompaniment, and I like the arrangement. Yeah. Yep, me too. The, Frank's, one of his real great things that he can do is guitar stuff. And I think that this song is no different for sure. I'm trying to figure out what the it is and fix it up. And sometimes I took a lyric writing course a long time ago talking about make sure your song doesn't have it-itis. It-itis, meaning you have the word it in it, but it's not really clear on what it is. So there, it can create a little bit of confusion in the listener. So let's look at the lyric here. We're going to fix it right away. We're going to take the time to mix it up and fix it up. Going to pay the price right today. Going to take the time to mix it up and fix it up. So I'm assuming that means the relationship. So that would make sense to me. It looks like the lyrics are pretty simple, which is good. I think that would help it as far as simple but good usually means that it's a little bit easier to find different sync situations where it could work because it's not super specific. It's a little bit more general. And to me, general songs are a little easier to place versus super specific songs lyrically. If you have a song about something really specific, sometimes all I can really do, even if it's a really great song, all I can do is pitch the instrumental because maybe the lyric doesn't work for what this specific sync situation might be. So that does happen. But in the case of this song, I think that the lyrics are good. I think that it's general enough. It probably could work in a lot of different scenarios. Let's jump around and listen.
To mix it up, fix it up. Gonna pay the price right today. Gonna take the time to mix it up, fix it up. Mix it up, fix it up.
So I'm hearing a lot of keyboards in this, some guitar stuff, but I don't know if they're samples or what they are exactly. I think the mix is pretty good.
Fix it up. Now the past has spoken and the future that we're holding is all here writing aside. The tracks that we were laying and the trails we were making for generations yet to find.
I like the percussion that's going on during this verse. That's nice with the shaker in the right channel.
Working it out was never gonna be an easy task. Trying to grasp important things we need to ask, but we're gonna fix it right away.
Her background vocals are really good too. So well done, Frank. It's good.
Gonna take the time to mix it up, fix it up. Gonna pay the price right today. Gonna take the time to mix it up, fix it up. Mix it up, fix it up. Mix it up, fix it up. Gonna fix it right away, right today. Gonna take the time to mix it up, fix it up. Hey, 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 hey. But we're gonna fix it right.
I like that stop right there too. That's cool. It kind of brings in a nice element of emotionality to it when the song does that type of thing. Oftentimes we'll get submissions, people will send stuff to me to listen to, and it just goes on and it doesn't really ever develop and change. It's just like a loop of the same thing. Even if there are vocals over the top, it's like, it's kind of like a straight line. And most really great songs at least will have some, even if it's compressed a lot in the mastering stage, it might look like that on the screen, but it'll still have some emotionality to it, and you can pick up on that as a listener and hear that in the vocals, the vocalist's delivery of the song. And I think we do have that on this song. I think this song seems emotional at the level that it should be and not really beyond. I think her vocals work really well. I think she's a good singer and does a good job of translating your song, Frank. It looks like you wrote the lyrics and the music and the production. So, yeah, good job. I think it's definitely a good track, and you brought in the right singer. To me, it's a good one. And I would probably steer you towards, it's a little bit more mid-tempo, so I don't think I could really pitch it for my retail rotation client. I don't think they would really go for it just because it's probably a little slower than what they would choose ordinarily. I think the production value is there, though, for sure. I would probably steer you to one of two things. Definitely toward radio, so you could go towards a radio rotation type thing. Not really retail radio, but more like a Sirius XM. Obviously, tempo doesn't really matter on something like that because we all know we can turn on the radio and hear slow songs and fast songs and anything in between. So it would work for that. And it would also work for libraries. I would certainly steer you towards Global Music Production Catalog, any of the library opportunities that we have or any other libraries. I mean, it doesn't have to be through Music Ops. There's tons and tons of libraries out there. You could certainly pitch it to something like that. And you never know. I mean, maybe it would work in a commercial. Maybe it would work in an independent film or something like that. So as long as the lyric fit what was happening on screen and or what the character was dealing with in the film or in the TV show or whatever, it would work. So I think the quality's there. So I don't really have anything else to add, Frank. Did you have any specific questions? Let me know. Oh, let's see what he says. Was going for universal lyrics that will go with many things. Yeah, okay. Well, good. I think that it does work that way. I think that I think you've done it. I think you've achieved that. Let me hear just a little bit more, but I can take what's coming even under assumption. All the pressure is under control. The facts were given. Even barriers were lifted. Now the truth can shine on its own. Yeah, see, that could work in a variety of different situations as far as sync-type placements. It's not overly specific. And again, overly specific is not a bad thing. It's just harder to place it. If it's got a more general type of lyric, usually that's easier. I feel like I could pitch it for more things. And back to our sports analogy, we're talking about sports TV licensing. The number one mistake people make with sports TV pitching. In other words, they write a song and they figure, oh, I'm going to pitch this song to either Doug or somebody like that for NBA or for NFL. And it will literally be a song about playing that sport, about throwing the football or about dribbling or about maybe name your favorite basketball players or football players, and they put their names in the song. That's called too on the nose. What that means is if something is too on the nose, it's way too specific. My clients will never use anything like that because it really locks you into a certain point in time when you name people in the song. Certain specific stars who are stars today won't be stars 10 years from now, probably, especially in sports. So that's a huge mistake, and it's one of those things where they're being overly specific in the songwriting, figuring if they are, then they're going to be able to get the placement. Well, it would work the same for songs that are love songs or songs that are relationship songs. If you're too specific, sometimes it can be harder to pitch and place that type of stuff. So to me, the more general, the better. I'm not saying water it down. I'm just saying you want universal lyrics. If you go listen to an interview of somebody who's a really great songwriter. Diane Warren, to me, she's one of my favorite songwriters. And she will talk about how to have a hit song, you need universal appeal, universal lyrics. That doesn't mean that it's so wide open that it's boring. It just means that we as humans all have a range of emotions, and we have all lived life to wherever we are today, and we've all experienced different things as far as hurt and love and elation and those types of things. So if you as a songwriter can tap into those things, and you can make people feel a certain, or help people to feel a certain way when they listen to your song, then that's going to help translate better and then therefore make your song more appealing to somebody who, like me, who might be interested in pitching your song for a placement situation. So go find an interview. I like Diane Warren. Pick any famous songwriters, and they will usually say similar things, especially people who have had multiple hits with multiple artists like she has. I think it's really good guidance. So certainly take a look at that. I feel like Frank's song is really good. I think it could certainly work in a variety of different situations. That's why I'm saying, Frank, I think you should go for some different libraries with that. I don't really have any specific like sync situations I know for sure it would work, but I could certainly steer you to some libraries. You could do that on your own, or you can pitch it through my company, whatever you want to do. It's totally fine, but I think it's a good track, and it's certainly on track. So good job. Let's see. He says, by the way, I had sent a song for sports through BroadJam. Yep, for your NFL, NBA opportunities that were considered but haven't heard back yet. Yes, that happens so much. So that's a great point. And what happens a lot of times is that whether it's BroadJam or if you come in directly through Music Ops, it's the same opportunities, really. There are less of them on BroadJam than there are on Music Ops. But what happens is I'll pitch them to my client, and generally with sync licensing, it's you either hear back pretty quickly or you don't hear anything. And that usually means if you don't hear anything, that means we may or may not have liked it, but we're not interested right now. And that means to me that I don't want to keep following up with these people saying, hey, did you hear the track? Did you hear the track? Did you hear the track? And, some people will do that to me, although I don't really get that all that much as far as artists. But they check in with me. They check in and they say, they'll send me an email, just wanted to check in with you and get a status update on the song that you liked and then pitched for a certain situation. Well, I don't want to tell people what to do and what not to do. I'm just saying you don't need to do that personally, because if my client is interested in your song, they're going to contact me and I'm going to contact you. And if we haven't heard anything, that means that even though they've heard the song, they've listened to it because I've sent it to them, that does not mean that they can use it right at the moment, and so they'll pass on by it. That doesn't mean that they can never use it. That just means they can't use it right then. So just keep that in mind, that if you pitch a song and I select it as far as say, okay, well, I want to pitch it for you, sometimes I pitch it right then. Other times I will hold on to it for a little while just to see if the timing is better when I pitch stuff to my client, because I don't always know what they're working on. And sometimes I can send stuff to them more than once. Like I might send them your song now, and then again, in a few months I'll send it to them again, and maybe at that point, then they can use it. So just keep that in mind, that if you don't hear anything, that doesn't mean anything other than it was pitched and nothing happened at that point. And that is like 99% of the time, 98% of the time. We're pitching stuff and we don't hear back. But in that other 1 or 2%, or maybe it could be as much as 4 or 5%, I don't know. In those other percentiles, those clients want the song right now, even yesterday. So because whatever project they're working on, they need it for that now. And, it's not really that much as far as the way, if you look at retail and radio and stuff, it's not that way. But for sync, for sure, because they're usually always on a super tight budget and a super tight deadline, especially television and commercials. That stuff is super fast turnarounds. So if I pitch your song for a commercial or for some TV thing like a sports TV, don't get discouraged if it doesn't get picked, because most people's songs don't get picked because it may just not have fit whatever they were looking for at that moment. Maybe they were putting together a montage of sports clips from some different stars from a certain team or whatever, trying to put this thing together, and needed a piece of music specifically to cut to. And it just didn't work because they already had some piece of music in mind, or maybe it wasn't the right tempo or the right energy type of thing. Or there's so many variables that go into sync placement. So just know that, just because your song doesn't get pitched, just figure that, we could try again later. And just know, too, that it doesn't mean it never will. So, yeah, it's very, very common to not hear anything back. So just so you guys know. Anyways, hold on one second. So anyway, that's basically that on the on Frank's tune. Frank, if you had any other questions, let me know. I do think you have a good track here. I like Pesky. I'm not sure why her name is Pesky, if she is Pesky or not, but it's pretty cool. I like her vocal. I really like the background vocal work that she did on there too, so good job on that. I feel like that's something that could certainly be used at some point for something. So definitely pitch it for, I would say, libraries and radio, not necessarily retail. I feel like it's probably not fast enough for that. Anyway, hopefully that helps. Let's jump on over to the next tune. We've got David. David sent a track last month, and this is a different one. Now, last month, I don't remember the name of the song he sent, but I remember that it was a really good one that was a departure from the stuff that he'd submitted before. It was more cinematic, sounded like something maybe for music for a movie. And that was kind of a surprise to me. I'm more used to his other stuff, which is solo piano, and I think that's what this one is. So let's check out The Blessing by David Churchill. So here we go. Wow, yeah, beautiful piano piece, David. Nice job. I'm not sure if David's here today. I haven't seen him in chat. David, let me know if you're here. Wow, excellent piece. That one I think I've heard before, but it's been a while. And you can tell by even the name of the song, The Blessing, it sounds like it should be something that's exactly like what we just heard. So to me, the title fits it perfectly, even though it's an instrumental piece. The title is important even on instrumental things because it kind of gives you a visualization even before you listen to the music at all. You kind of have more or less an idea as to what the song could be about, figuring that there might be lyrics. But David, I think, pretty much just only does instrumental stuff, which is great. So I like The Blessing, and this was a little more than just solo piano. Obviously, they had the strings in there too. They sound like MIDI strings, and I'm not sure if that was just like a MIDI layer situation where he's playing the piano and triggering the string sounds, maybe, or if he went back and added the strings on later. Doesn't really matter. I think it works really well together. Obviously, it being a slower tempo type of song limits the things I personally could pitch it for. I think it certainly could work in going back to the whole cinematic thing as far as a film. It could certainly work in a highly emotional type of scene in a film, independent film, TV show. It could work in a commercial, just depending on what the commercial is about. I think the quality's there, so that's good. I think that the overall recording, the production value of the tune is good, and probably isn't a whole lot to be said on that. Let me jump around and listen a little. Yeah, and Carolyn says, really beautiful performance. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I mean, it's highly emotive from a musicianship standpoint. You can tell there's a lot of emotion there, which is great. I think the song could certainly be used for radio. I mean, it could be pitched to radio, but it would need to be a channel that would cater to that style. So that's something that we could look at. So I would steer you toward radio, not really retail radio, but just regular radio, like a Sirius XM type of satellite thing. I think that could work. I do think that it could work for a film. I would probably steer you also toward a library, like we talked about a little bit with Frank. I think if it was in a library, it could probably potentially be used for something else in addition to what I've already mentioned, as far as it could work in the right scene in a film or whatever. The problem with a solo piano type thing and trying to place it oftentimes is that with films, sometimes they will hire a composer to do a piece like that that's highly emotional, that fits a certain scene. So even though your song could work, David, they might actually hire somebody, or maybe they've already hired a composer for the overall film, and that that scene in that film gets composed specifically for those characters. I've seen that happen before. But if you're on a budget and making a film and like a low budget type thing, and you just need a highly emotive solo piano piece, something like this could work perfectly. So I'd say well done, David. I like The Blessings, good track. You could certainly pitch it to some libraries. That's probably where I would steer you first and foremost. And then I would say secondarily you could pitch it toward radio, but it would need to be certain channels. Obviously it wouldn't work on a pop station or, ones that where the listeners are expecting vocals, that type of thing. Anyways, that's a good one. So David actually submitted one more song, I Have Loved You, and we'll come back to that. I think it's also solo piano, but I'm not sure. So what let's do is let's go ahead and do the other couple, and then we'll do David's other song last, because I don't even think he's here. But yeah, very beautiful performance, and that's typical of David's style. I like his playing. It's very good. So we'll come back to I Have Loved You. Let's jump on to this next one. Now, this is a new submitter. This is Sarah, and Sarah is in England, and she sent this track to me just today or yesterday, and I haven't really heard it yet, but it's called Stay Close. So let's listen to it.
And we're looking for love, stumbling, falling, fading in the dark, waiting in the wings for something, anything, come bring it to me. Even after all, you can save us all.
Alright then, yeah, she's searching, she's waiting, but her heart keeps breaking. Yeah. She says she want me if circle, I'm in already if circle down. No, I love her, but she won't trust me, girl. Why do you doubt me? Baby, I love you proudly, so proudly, my baby. Don't tell me so we could fly to the moon anywhere you are. Girl, let me massage your body because you got the love for me, why? A smile that shines so bright, a beacon through the night. Yeah, you shine bright, you shine bright. So, baby, won't you stay with me every day? You make my life so comfortable, man, I go makes me straight. You make me so happy, believe me when we say, baby girl, I love you so much, man, I go makes me straight. No other girl can change my mind, infatuated by your wine. Yeah, I love your flaws, one of a kind. Baby, I love your cars, you love your grind. You know if you wind up fast, then take your time. Oh my God, what a design. When you move that body, I would dig it like diamonds, me and mine. The things that you do to me, no girl never treat me so. She says she want me to settle down, I'm ready to settle down, no.
So baby, won't you stay with me every day? You make my life so comfortable, when I go make you straight. You make me so happy, believe me when I say, baby boy, I love you so much, man, I go make you straight.
Baby, won't you stay with me every day? You make my life so comfortable, man, I go make you straight. You make me so happy, oh, believe me when we say, baby girl, I love you so much, man, I go make you straight.
Okay, so that was Stay Close by, well, the submitter was Sarah, and it says Quantum Drop Productions featuring Nico Blast, and I guess Nico or Nico Blast is probably the male singer, assuming, don't know. I don't have a lot of information on it other than she wanted to submit it and said that she would not be able to be here today in chat. So anyways, I like the song. I think it's pretty unique sounding. I think the guy's vocal is really kind of odd, but very, very unique sounding.
I'm not ready to circle down, no. I love her, but she won't trust me, girl. Why do you doubt me, babe?
I mean, it's just different, you know. It sounds pretty unique. I like that flavor. It's almost like a little bit of an island type of vocal. Does that make sense? Like I don't know, like reggae type. I kind of like it. It's cool.
Baby, I love you proudly, so proudly, my baby. Don't tell me so we could fly to the moon anywhere you are. Girl, let me massage your body because you got the love for me, why? A smile that shines so bright.
Yeah, and Tony says I like the reggae style vocal. That's what it is. Yeah. Now,
no other girl can love your flaw. Take your time. The thing is that you don't know.
So baby,
I was trying to find the female singer. Here we go.
baby, won't you stay with me every day? you stray.
Yeah, I like the female vocal is a good counter to the reggae style male vocal. I think it works really well. She did say that this is still sort of a work in progress, but I think what she has here is really good. I like the feel it has. I think it's got good energy. It's one of those things where, you know, most of the libraries and stuff that I work with, at least, don't really have much as far as reggae goes, or at least really quality stuff that could be, it could be commercial sounding enough to be able to use it in some different situations. So reggae is one of those styles that it kind of gets overlooked, I think, at least in the West, in the U.S., I should say, as far as for libraries and things like that. Now, radio, not so much, but with libraries, it does tend to sort of get overlooked. And I think it would be a really good submission to send this to libraries, probably first. And beyond libraries, I think it could work possibly for retail, but I'm thinking more toward just like satellite radio as well on this one, because I think that the style of music is such that it probably, I don't think my retail client would necessarily go for it, because again, it's, you know, the lyric itself isn't really what gives it its specific sound. It's just the overall sound of the vocal and the overall sound of the song gives you a little bit more of a specific type of sound. Just like, for instance, you know, Dixieland music is a certain style of sound, and it wouldn't work with everything, but it can be really great. So I think that's kind of the same way with this reggae tune. It's not really reggae tune as far as the feel goes, but the vocal certainly is. It's more of a pop sound with the female pop type vocal, and then with the reggae or island style male vocal. I think it works really well. So good job, Sarah. I think it's a cool one. I think I would steer you towards libraries first, and definitely keep up the good work. I like it. I'm not sure when you'll hear this, but hopefully you will soon, and just know that it's a good track, and keep up the good work. I think, you know, if you're not done with it yet, I don't know what's left to do on it, but it's a cool track, maybe mastering, but I'm not sure what else. I didn't really hear anything else that jumped out at me as far as you really need to address this issue or that. I know it's not done yet, so I sort of ignored the volume discrepancy. It seems kind of low volume, but I mean, I know you're going to fix that still, so definitely master it when you're done, but keep up the good work. It's a good track for sure. So yeah, nice one. And then let's move on. I know Carolyn's here. Let's listen to Full Circle, Carolyn Barella. Here we go. Let me refresh so we hopefully won't get the commercials. Here we go. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. I like it. It is very moody. She says it's a moody track with similar style to music in the Queen's Gambit. Now, I'm not familiar with the Queen's Gambit, but Ed says, is it colonial? Yeah, it could be. Let's see here. Wow, very nicely done. Lots of character and emotion, very visual. Excellent performance, especially the orchestral accompaniment and arrangement. Tony loves it. Yeah, Carolyn, I think it's a really good one. It definitely is a departure from what I'm used to hearing that you have put out, that I've heard, and it certainly is film score type, like television scoring perhaps more. But you can almost see, like the person wandering around in solitude in the snow, with their own feelings and their own thoughts and stuff. And it definitely is very visual, just like what Tony said. So I think you're doing a great job of getting your music to sound, to evoke certain visuals when you are listening to it. So I could definitely hear it working well in a somber type of moody scene in a film or a TV show or something like that, which means because I don't have anything right now like that, it just means that you could probably pitch it for a library because they could run into a situation where it could be useful for something like that. So you've got some other songs in Sync Shop library. I would steer you toward that one for sure. And, any other ones like that, I think that's probably where I would say that your stuff fits the best. I know we've talked before about a lot of your stuff seems to work well for video games, and I think this one actually, to me, could work in a video game too, believe it or not. And I say that because, you have some of these like games, like first-person shooter type games and stuff where there will be a part of the game where there might be some sort of emotional type of scene. Like for instance, maybe someone was just killed in the video game and the main character's wandering around trying to figure out what to do next. I think it could work. I mean, because like we've talked about before, video games are scored very similar to films these days. So I would say good job on that. I like the string arrangement and stuff that you have going on in the background too. And to me, it's really good. Yeah, Tony had some really good comments. I think so too, Tony. I agree with you. And let's jump around and listen a little. The strings just work perfectly with it, Carolyn. Good job. That little riff right there almost reminds me of something like, not a horror movie, but, like something with kids or something sort of creepy, you know what I mean? That with the little bells and things going on. Yeah, I mean, you could pitch it for stuff like that too. I mean, that's certainly a possibility. Again, having it in a library would probably be my choice as far as being able to get you the best chances to get it out there, because then at that point, if the right people hear it, then it could be used in a lot of different situations. Maybe it could be used in a horror film or some sort of a dark type of film like that, but it could also be used just as a moody scene in a TV show or some other film where the character is off doing some sort of contemplation or trying to figure out where they're headed next in their life or whatever. So you could see where it would work. So nice job, Carolyn. I like that one. Good track, very different, very well done, and it seems complicated, but it's actually fairly simple as far as it's mostly just the piano and the strings, but it works well together. And is the production okay as is? Yeah, I think so. I like the mix. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice. It's mixed well. I wouldn't change it. Yep, it's good. Good work. All right, so let's see here. Let's move on and let me know, Carolyn. Of course, you can email me. This goes for anybody who is submitted today. Feel free to email me if you have any other questions you think of later. If I didn't cover something or if you want to talk about something that I missed. But good job, Carolyn. It's a good track. We've got Ed's song. Let's listen to Last Tug Out. Here we go. All right. Well, Ed, wow, that's again sort of another. Tony, I did get your submission, so we'll do that today. Ed, that's a really interesting track. Very different than the other stuff I've heard of yours. And I know you're trying to focus more on instrumentals, and I think that's commendable. I think that's a good thing to do because given the fact that I know that you excel in like guitar work and stuff like that, I feel like that's something you should do. So good job. Now, on this track, it's called Last Tug Out, assuming it means like a tugboat. That's what I was thinking of. Now, where can we go with this track? So, Ed, you are in chat. Feel free to ask any questions that you want to, and we will address those. Carolyn says this has a nice rhythm, maybe background for an ad with a lot of activity. Yeah, so here's what I'm thinking. The first thing I notice, Ed, is that the keyboards in this are a bit MIDI sounding, and that's not really a terrible thing or bad thing. It's just that, you know, if it's going to be something more synthetic, then it limits my ability to pitch it, honestly, because my clients don't really want stuff that sounds overtly MIDI or synthetic. They want the real deal. So if you're going to use a horn sample or whatever, that's fine. But man, it's got to be good. It's got to, basically you can't be able to tell the fact that it's synthetic. That's why. Listen to Kevin Winkle's stuff. Like he's submitted songs several weeks in a row or several months in a row. Kevin's stuff is really good, and he does do all of his own programming and production work and stuff like that. And his stuff is really good, and you can't really tell that it's MIDI-fied. It's done in a way that sounds real, and so that's what you want to be careful of. And not to put your thing down at all, I think it is a good demo. I think it's something that does get the overall song across pretty well. Where I would lean on this one is perhaps addressing the MIDI horn type sound, and then also, and that could just be a matter of finding the right patch, like the right synth sound. Maybe it doesn't need to be a horn. Maybe it can be something else that's not supposed to sound like a real instrument or like a real horn. That's a possibility. Or maybe you could do it with a guitar. That's a possibility. I know you're a good guitarist, and so perhaps look at that. I think that the other thing that I'm hearing mostly on this song is I feel like it could be mixed better as far as the balancing between all the different instruments and the melody that's being played by the horn part or the main keyboard part. And I keep calling it a horn part. I'm not sure that that's what it is, but the main melody, and then the other instruments. Like I feel like the drums are pretty buried, in the mix. So let's listen to some more spots here and see what we got. I mean, the drums are kind of banging away back there. It's kind of cool what they're doing. I don't know if that's a loop or if that's you playing or what that is exactly. I kind of like what the drums are doing. I'd like to hear more of that. I think the bass is interesting. It's almost not really playing a traditional bass line. It's almost doing a solo or something. I don't know what that's doing, but it is interesting. And so, Ed, I would definitely also focus on songwriting structure, like your. I like to, when I'm listening to instrumentals, they definitely need to progress and sort of build and move and get better as it goes, as far as bringing in new instruments and new ideas and stuff. And I think you've done that to some extent. I do like the idea, though, of creating a theme or a melody and then playing it and then leaving it and then coming back to it. So you'll hear that a lot in, especially like movie scoring and things like that, where they'll have a main theme maybe for a character, for the idea of the film, or even for TV, I guess, but more for film, where they'll have a main theme that really fits, and then they will play it, and they'll do it in different ways, and they'll come and go from it. Like they're not focused on it all the time. Because if you're focused on a good thing, obviously it can can sort of like wear you out after a while. So just be careful of that. I think that the melody you have is fine. I think it could be better as far as the mix goes, like everything mixed together and balanced a little bit more evenly. I would like the drums a little louder, maybe the bass a little louder, and the lead instrument probably a little softer, and or a different sound. That's what I'm hearing. Maybe it's an accordion. I'm not sure what that is. That sort of dome synth bass sound is a little bit dated sounding, so maybe be careful with that. That sounds like something like a funk bass synth patch from 1980s. So be careful with that. I like it. It's just a matter of it can make your track sound dated if you use something like that. To me, I think you just use a real bass on it. So even here in these other parts, that main, either, I don't know if it's a horn or accordion or what it is, but that main idea is repeated over and over and over. So I think it's okay to have that be your melody, but I think you definitely want to leave it and then come back so that you don't wear out the listener. I guess you did get right here in the bridge. And what the bass is doing is a little out of sync with the drums. If you I don't know if you played to a click or not, but you should definitely play to a click so that everything stays locked in, so that the bass and the drums sound like they're grooving together. And it sounds like the bass may be a little ahead of what the drums are doing right here. Right there. You want to make sure you stay locked in so that you don't have, that doesn't jump out to other musicians and then be like, oh, well, if that's a real band, they're not really together. You know what I mean? So be careful of that. Also, there's a dissonant part down here that was interesting. Right there. I don't know what that is. That sounds like an accident, so be careful of that kind of stuff. If it's something you can't fix, then fade the song out earlier so that fixes it. Otherwise, just be careful, because that kind of stuff you don't want to leave in there, especially if you're pitching it for something, for serious consideration for film, TV, libraries, video games, any of that kind of stuff. I think it could work with some more production work and mix work on your end. I think it could be better. I think what you have here is a good start, though, for sure. And let me check chat here and see what's going on. Not MIDI. What's a person to do? Okay, so it's all actual people playing together. Is that right? If that's the case, then I'd say it would just be a matter of finding the right sounds, and maybe that lead instrument, whatever it is, maybe that could be like an organ or a piano or a guitar or something like that. The melody, I think, is fine. It's just that we want to focus on the mix and making sure everything's balanced well, but even before that, we want to focus on song structure and not overdoing something that, is too much of a good thing almost, so just be careful of that. So let's see what else he says here. Yeah, not MIDI, what's a person to do? Yeah, I know. If it's not MIDI, then it sounds like it is MIDI. So it sounds like it's, to me it sounded like one person maybe doing all the parts, and I don't know if it's a drum loop or not, but I like the drums. I think that's cool. I like the idea of what the bass is doing. I think that sound could probably be changed to more of a traditional bass. And then the lead instrument, that's the main other thing. I think the guitars are good, what I heard, and I would fix that dissonant part at the end by either fading early or re-recording that, or maybe fixing it in the computer. I'm not sure what tools you have to work with. But once you get to that point, then obviously you want it mixed and mastered and all that good stuff. So just be careful and know that anything that sounds MIDI, even if it's not, it doesn't really matter if it sounds like it is, because the instruments are, the keyboard sounds like it is. Then it does limit you on what it could be pitched for. I mean, maybe if it sounds overtly MIDI-fied, then maybe it would work in like an 80s documentary of something. That would probably work fine and not have to, really change that much. But to me, it could be better. I think it could be great comments. Yes, and thanks. Live. Okay, good. So that's cool that it's live. So just look at the different instrumentation, the different sounds that were selected. Maybe try some different things. If you have the ability to go back and change things now that you've recorded it, like if it's a MIDI sound and you have some of that stuff in a sequencer, you could change the sound of it and not have to re-record the part. But it sounds like you might have just recorded the audio, in which case there's not much you can do but re-record it. So I know it's kind of a hassle, but I'm trying to, get you to the next level, whatever that is. And I think that the overall scratch pad type idea that you have here, I think is really good. I think it's a good demo for sure. And I like the title. I like the idea of what it's doing. I think that if we could address a few other of these issues that I brought up, it would be even better. So anyway, good job, Ed. Yeah, nice work. Let's see. We've got Tony's track and David's other track. So I don't think David's here. Let's do Tony's track, and then we'll come back and do David's, and I think we'll be done. So let's see what Bad Breaks sounds like. And I think I've heard this. Tony, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you've submitted this before. So I'm going to refresh, so hopefully we don't get the commercial, and let's go for it. Nope. The commercial still pops up. I used to be able to refresh, and then the commercials would never come on, but now it doesn't work that way. Wow. I like that ending. That's very cool. I was not expecting that. Kind of drops off and you have that cool little synth pad there. So Bad Breaks. And I was going to tell you too, Tony, I really like your graphic. Your artwork here is really cool. That looks neat. So good job on that. I'm not sure if you did that or who did that for you or what, but pretty cool. So I think I've heard that song before. I think maybe you have submitted it, maybe on Broad Jam. Hard-hitting, high-energy EDM live feel rhythm track that blends classic rhythm guitar and a driving bass line under a pop EDM groove. Funk, R&B, pop, and EDM. Yeah, and it's certainly all of that. And the new name that you're using, I think it's new to me, Audio Intelligence. I really like that. That's a cool name. So good job. Of course, I'm an audio guy, so, but very cool name. Yes, I did that on a on Canva. Okay, neat. Well, you did a good job. Looks good. Working title: looking to collab with Top Line Writer for an alt version. Yeah, that's a good idea. It does sound like it could use another melody or something on top of it, maybe even a vocal. I mean, it's a really good track. Your stuff is always like real tight sounding. It's really well produced and really in the pocket and has a good groove and good energy. So your stuff is really good. I like it a lot, and Tony, and I feel like it's something that has enough energy where we probably could pitch it for a few different things. It could work on like a sports TV type deal. It does have that kind of feel and power to it. Now for sports TV, it's one of those things where sometimes they like songs with vocals, depending on what projects they're working on. But they do really use instrumentals a lot. So instrumentals are certainly, if you want to get into licensing for sports TV, I think this song could work, depending on what the client's needs are, obviously. But I think the energy is certainly there. Let's see. I like what that synth is doing way off in the distance. It's pretty neat. I mean, that's basically your main melody, but I think it works really well. And I like the rhythm guitars a lot, too. That gives it a lot of energy. The drum groove is really cool. I don't think it really changed, though, did it? I don't remember any fills or anything that made it a little bit more interesting. So perhaps spice that up a little. If it's, maybe I just missed it. Yeah, I guess there was a fill right there. That part right there is pretty cool. This little breakdown part's neat. Man, that bass is so cool. I love it. Yeah, you can hear as an editor, like a video editor, can hear different things here in this song that they could use for different parts of their video. Like maybe they could use this section for one part of the video. You know, whereas they might want to use this other part here for something else. Right here. It's a little different. I mean, you just don't know. And the instrumentation's really good, and the performances, the playing is all really good, too. So you do a really good job of keeping it moving along and, you know, like changing up a little bit. You keep the momentum flowing, if that makes sense. Yeah, he says he submitted to the sports TV pitch. Yeah, this one today, of all the songs today that we've heard, to me, this one would be the one I would pitch for sports. And I liked Dougie's song too, but I don't feel like it was really that sports oriented, whereas this one could certainly be used for that. And Tony, I've talked to you before about it. I've pitched your stuff for sports before. And, you know, the clients, it just depends on whatever it is they're working at the moment. And sometimes they'll listen to it and be like, yeah, it's really cool, but it doesn't work with what I need right this moment, so they move on. It doesn't mean anything other than, yes, they liked it, but it doesn't mean because they didn't pick it right then, it doesn't mean they never will. So they could well just come back around to it in a month and need it for something else. So we could pitch it today, and then maybe it'll sit around for a month, and then some other project comes along and they could use it. So it's just one of those things where we just kind of have to keep at it, and that's the way sync licensing tends to work. And it's a moment-by-moment situation, and everybody is super pressed for time. And, sports TV is certainly like that, especially these days with everything sort of going to television now. There's lots of opportunities. So something like this I think could work really well. I like the groove, and let's see what else was said in the... Yeah, Carolyn said, I dig the groove. I think the groove is really good, too. I like what the bass is doing and the drums. Always remember what you said, not looking for a place to place your song, looking for a song for the place. Yeah, and that's exactly it. Thanks for bringing that up. Yes, my job is not to find a place for your song. My job is to find a song for the place as a music supervisor. And I think that little sentence really captivates what it is a music supervisor does versus what you think they do. I can't just pitch my favorite songs for anything and everything. I have to go on what the client needs and try and find them the perfect song for their spot that they have, whether that's in a video game or a scene in an independent film or a commercial or whatever it might be. So just know that as far as today goes, Tony gets the prize for the song that most fits the sports TV type stuff that we would pitch for. So I would definitely steer you towards sports TV on this one. And then in general, I would say just libraries. And I think for all the songs pretty much across the board for today, I think libraries are a good option. I think that, you get your song in the right library, then you just never know where it'll end up, and it could be useful in different situations. If a library places your song in a certain opportunity, it might work in a completely different opportunity with a different client and, a year later or whatever. So I would say just be patient, get your songs into a library and just let them sit there because, the library is going to, if they're a good library, they will continue to work your song and try and find places for them because that's going to make money for them too, as well as you. So I'd say overall, good job, Tony. Good track. I dig it. It's a good one, and I love Audio Intelligence. Good job on the name. What else did we leave out here? We have David's other track. Let's do that one. I Have Loved You. Let's listen to that real quick. So David Churchill. This is another, I think, solo piano. Let's check it out. Nice, nice. Well, let's see.
When it comes to
So I guess that proves I don't really listen to him ahead of time because I thought it was just a solo piano piece, which clearly it's not. I mean, the piano is front and center once it gets going, but it really started out as a string arrangement almost. Let's listen to a little bit more at the beginning. Very nice, very nice. I mean, really, up until where the piano comes in, that could be its own piece. You know what I mean? So we're almost a minute in, really, before the piano starts. And you could, I mean, as an editor, you could almost make, use just that front piece for something, theoretically, and then fade out before the piano even comes in if you didn't need that part. So there's different directions you could go with this song for sure. I like the what Carolyn said here. It's beautiful piece. What a fantastic performance. Yes, absolutely. Beautiful composition, performance, etc. Tony says, yeah, it really is. It's so good. And David's stuff is excellent. And I know he has a really good handle on the whole solo piano performance thing as well, because that's mostly what I've heard up until really this piece and the one from last month, where it was more symphonic, where it was more like cinematic and movie oriented. And I think it's really good. I think it's something that could work for sure in a library again. We've kind of been library today, but it really is a good place to have your stuff. And I think David's is no different. I think his stuff could work well in a library that works with things like, this could work well in a TV show, or it could work well in a film of some sort. It could work in a documentary film for sure. Listen how great the string arrangement was. It could work in anything that's real emotive, like a scene that's an emotional type of scene. You have the strings in there. You have the piano. It's all very well recorded and mixed really well. I wouldn't change a thing as far as the production value of it goes. Good job, David. I think it's one of those ones that could work in a variety of different things. For me personally, I would probably steer you towards libraries first, and then beyond that, radio only with like a maybe some certain channels on a Sirius XM. It could work there, but beyond that, I don't think so. Like, it wouldn't work in retail. I couldn't pitch it for retail and expect to get any headway with that. But it certainly could work in some different sync situations. It's just a matter of coming up with those and finding those types of things. But the quality is there, which is really, to me, front and center, because if you have good quality stuff, there's usually a home for it somewhere. It's just a matter of finding it. So anyways, well done, David. Nice job. I like the song I Have Loved You, and your other one, which was The Blessing. Both really, really good tracks. I think we covered everything else today, as far as I can tell. So, anyways, yeah, I think we ran the race, and we ended up finishing just fine today. So even though we didn't really get too many sports TV type of placement consideration songs, it's totally fine. We did talk about it a little bit. We can cover it more in the future. Sports TV is one of those things that if you're interested in it, you should go for it. Don't write songs about playing sports. It needs to be something that works from a emotional standpoint. Like, you can connect to it, and it could be about achieving your goals, or it could be about winning. That types of things. The ancillary parts of life when you're playing sports. That's what your song should be about, not literally throwing the ball or hitting the ball or driving the car. That doesn't usually work, just because, again, it's too on the nose. So hopefully we've kind of covered that a little bit on the sports TV stuff. And, if you're not interested in that, certainly pursue libraries, because that's a good place to have your stuff. I've mentioned it before, I think, in the Q&A. I think Music Library Report is a good website. I'm a member on that. And they have tons of music libraries on there. I don't get anything for promoting them. I just know it's a really good resource, musiclibraryreport.com. And there's some other places online that you can find a myriad of different libraries to submit your stuff. I mean, I have access to a few through MusicOps, musicops.com. I'll show you that website real quick if you're not familiar with it. It is it's the company that I run the day-to-day for. And, we have Tony had asked in chat what was the best place to submit for a library that I was talking about. And if you go over here you can do all opportunities or TV licensing. TV licensing will give you most of the libraries. Now, this first one is focusing mostly on commercial libraries. Here's just specifically Fox Sports. But this is the one right here that I would steer people to, Global Music Production Catalog. That one's a really good one. Carolyn's got some songs in there, and some other folks here today. So let's see, LA Studio Production Catalog. That's a little bit newer one. So that's a good one too. Any of those type of opportunities, and if you don't want to submit on MusicOps, that's fine. There's other options. But you could find others on different websites like musiclibraryreport.com. I think that's a good one. I've used that myself. And they give, there's not really thumbs up, thumbs down sort of ratings, but there are people who've had experiences working with different libraries on that website. So it's good. And you might be able to meet some fellow composers and other folks who've had maybe more experience than you as far as how to deal with PROs and publishing and all kinds of different stuff. So it's a resource you could check out. It doesn't cost anything to go look at the website. I think they do have, there is a charge for I think it's a one-time fee to access like everything on the site. But I do think that it's probably worth doing that. But if you don't want to spend a dime, you can certainly go peruse around and check out musiclibraryreport.com. I think it's a good one. MusicOps is who I'm working with. We also have BroadJam. Let me pull that up real quick. BroadJam Premium Pitches. That's also on your screen, the bottom left-hand corner. But on here, it's pretty much the few that are on here. These are also on MusicOps for the most part. For the most part, they're the same ones. Now, we're closing out a few of them that will not be on BroadJam after this month's over, which is today. So starting tomorrow, some of these will get closed out, and we'll open up some different ones. But, people ask, well, why are you still looking for music for certain things? And some of these things are just ongoing. Like, we're always looking for really great music for certain pitches, like the National TV Music Search, the Global Music Production Catalog, the Retail, Apple Music, Spotify. I mean, we're always looking for great songs, so I don't know that they'll go away, really. There's no beginning and end. It's just sort of going on, So we're always looking for new music, good music, and stuff that we can pitch and place. So that's our goal. Anyways, I guess we'll wrap it up for today. We are a couple hours in now at this point, so thank you all for being here. I certainly appreciate it. And hopefully you guys got something out of what I had to say today. If not, that's totally fine. And hopefully you, at least if nothing else, heard some cool tracks. And I think we did that today. So I'm going to play out here with this song, Hard Sometimes. This is a friend of mine, and I did some mastering work for her. And let's check out, actually she put my name on the page. That was very nice. But let's check out this one, and we'll see you all next month. We're going to do it again on the last Sunday of March, which would be the 28th. So we will see you all then. Until then, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me through MusicOps. I'm Doug at musicops.com. You can reach me through my main website, which is just diamondiscaudio.com. And I can pull that up real quick, too. That's a newer website. I just built it within the last couple of months. So you can reach out to me through there. If you're already here today, then you probably are already on the list. But you can encourage people, if you would, encourage people to sign up. There's the email list button right there. That's how they get on the list that you guys received today, where you got my email about this live stream. And there'll be more information on here. If you go here and click on either this blue button or over here under Services, Sync Licensing, you click on this, you will get a partial list of success stories, stuff I've placed right here. They're not all on there. There's just some there. Excuse me. And then these videos are our Q&As from Thursday nights and also our live streams. So take a drink here. Hold on. Losing my voice. Sorry. Anyways, I guess we'll wrap it up for today. But just know that the archive recordings are on there, so that's a good thing. And hopefully we will see you guys next month. In the meantime, have a good one. Talk to you soon.
People think a lot about personal security.
All right, let's try it again. No commercials. Here we go. Hard sometimes.
Hard, so hard. It's hard sometimes. You know it's hard sometimes to keep the faith alive. You know it's hard sometimes to keep the faith alive. When all you do is strive and never see a dime. You know it's hard sometimes. You know it's hard sometimes. Every day you rise, see the sun and shine. Today's the day I'll claim what's rightfully mine. Oh mine, you make a valiant try. Keep your head up high, still your dreams fly by, and you ask why. You know it's hard sometimes to keep the faith alive. You know it's hard sometimes to keep the faith alive. When all you do is strive and never see a dime. You know it's hard sometimes. You know it's hard sometimes. You go deep inside and let out a sigh. I know I'm good and pray to the sky, the sky. You continue to fight and walk through the fire, one day at a time, reaching higher. You know it's hard sometimes to keep the faith alive. You know it's hard sometimes to keep the faith alive. When you're legit to strive and never seem to thrive. You know it's hard sometimes. You know it's hard sometimes.
It's pretty hard, but we on the job, headed to the top. Reaching for the stars, giving all we got. We can never stop, gotta push through it. That's just how to do it. Motivation, fluence, everybody going through it. If it's for your dreams, faith is what you need to succeed. You gotta believe in yourself, you compete with yourself. Nothing comes easy on the long road to success. When you wanna be the best, better prepare for the mess. You gon' have pain, you gon' have rain, you gon' fall down. Gotta get back up, wipe the dust, say it's on now. Came a long way, long days, cold nights. I was feeling all alone, nothing was going right. I was in the dark, searching for the spark. Then I seen the light, knowing how to fight. I stood strong, now I'm shining bright. But let me slow it down, hold up. Hope you got the message. Everything you do, stay true, don't regret it.
Nothing's gonna change for me. When will I reach my destiny? I know I can't quit, gotta keep on going. My faith must be strong, let the blessings flow.